Hi everyone, Vegas from Critic here. Jeffrey K. Howard here to review Rocketman, the Elton John musical biopic starring Tara Egerton, Jamie Bell, Bryce Dallas Howard, and directed by Dexter Fletcher. A lot of comparisons, of course, right out of the bat to Bohemian Rhapsody from last year, and rightly so. You know, that was the Queen biopic, and Rami Malek, hit a home run and earned an Academy Award for Best Actor. And now we have another giant biopic from another musical legend, Elton John, that's been in the works for a long, long time. So people are going to make comparisons to that. And later in this review, I'll do that. But first, let's just take Rocketman on its own. The story of Elton John, Reginald Dwight. And for someone who grew up in grammar school in the early 70s and the mid 70s, hearing Elton John's music, this movie is a lot more of an emotional, personal experience for me as an education. So it's got a double purpose. And so, of course, we have Elton John growing up in a dysfunctional family. You know, his father was never home. His father ignored him, never hugged him, never loved him. One of those classic stories. The mother was always teasing him and always being cruel to him mentally. It was more mental games. But, of course, his grandmother, I believe it was his grandmother in the movie, was always there. Grandparents are the best. I had the best grandparents, too. I had great parents, too. But the grandparents just really saved the day. And I love to talk to Elton John and ask him about that because she was there for him. And then, of course, the incredible moment where he meets Bernie Taupin, who wrote all his lyrics. And in case you didn't know that, Elton John wrote all the music, the actual music, and Bernie Taupin wrote the lyrics. He would send him lyrics, or he would hand him lyrics and say, look, put this to music. Because Elton John just said, I can't write words, I can only hear the music in my head. And of course, in the movie, we see that he was classically trained. He went to a conservatory. He learned classical music. So he's a musician from beginning to end. And so he meets Bernie Taupin. They start hitting all the record companies in the early 70s, playing the music. And, it's one of those standard biopics, musical biopics that you've seen. It looks just like Bohemian Rhapsody. And in terms of the same kind of steps that people are trying to get their music heard, trying to get a record deal. And of course, Elton John explodes. But he can't be Elton John. He can't be Reginald Dwight. He's got to be Elton John. So not only do we find out everything about Elton John, how he got his name, how certain songs came about, but also we come away, if you're a super fan of Elton John, and being in Las Vegas, how could he playing his Red Concert piano series here at Caesar's Palace for years, his residency here, he's just a legend. He really is. And this music gives fans and new fans all the answers to all these questions. And I love movies like that. Bohemian Rhapsody didn't do that. I wanted more of what Elton John's movie did. I want to know about the songs, how they came about, and the emotional connection to them. And I just wanted a lot more than that. But it came the Freddie Mercury story, which was okay if that's what they wanted to get, but it was just a mess. And there's three things you got to credit for this film. One is Taron Egerton, who plays Elton John. Born to play this, sings his own songs in this movie. So when you hear everything coming out of the screen, that's Taron singing all of Elton John's songs. Incredible singer. But not only does he have to be a singer and carry a musical, he's got to be Elton John. He's got to have these emotional scenes. He's got to have these over-the-top scenes, with the costumes and with the concerts and also the emotional scenes with family and friends, the drug abuse, the alcoholism. I mean, this movie is packed with every kind of cliche in the music business that happened in the 70s. And when we say cliche, you're not saying it in a negative way. It's just that this is the reality. Every rock and roll band went through this in the 70s. They still do, I'm sure, especially the 80s. Drugs, sex, drugs, rock and roll. And Elton John, there were so many things I didn't know. I didn't know he was married. I didn't know he had an overdose. I didn't know that he had I knew he had an alcohol problem, but I didn't know the extent of it. So the movie really dramatizes that to where he's, self-destructing and just becoming an introvert and not talking to anyone. So we see through his whole career, not only the music, but also his personal life. And I'm not sure which is true or not, dramatic license. I've been looking on the internet, what's true and what's not in Rocketman. I don't care. I enjoyed the movie for what it was, Elton John approved it. He was involved with the whole production. So whatever he wanted to tell about his life is up there on the big screen. So Taron Egerton is number one. Incredible performance. Second is the direction by Dexter Fletcher, who was brought in on Bohemian Rhapsody to fix it up. And when you could see Bohemian Rhapsody, you can see his influence in that. Now, this is my complaint about directors who don't understand the genre. When we go back to La La Land, I know I hated La La Land. When we go back to Bohemian Rhapsody with Bryan Singer, who's a great director, amid all his controversy, but they don't understand musicals. Dexter Fletcher does. Not only does he carry the whole story by using the music, it is everywhere. It's in the background. It's in different keys. You hear Elton John's music through this whole movie, which is super important. And not only that, they changed and transitioned the story from scene to scene with his music in these incredible fantasy musical numbers. You know, you're going to be in a bar and all of a sudden you're going to be walking out in the street. And it just works so perfectly. It all just blends so well together. And Dexter Fletcher has to have all the credit for that because it was his vision to get this biopic off the front. And it is just incredible. I'm sitting there with a smile on my face. I'm listening to all the music. And the third most important thing about Rocketman is Elton John's music. And like I said earlier, I have emotional connection to that. So when I'm hearing, Tiny Dancer, when I'm hearing Benny and the Jets, when I'm hearing, Goodbye Yellow Brick Road, Candle in the Wind, you're just like, and it's not just like, oh, he's playing a little bit of, you get these entire songs. It's like watching a Broadway musical. It really is. So not only if you're an Elton John fan, you're going to come out with a smile on your face and just want to hug the man if you ever meet him because of all the hell this poor guy went through, but also all the creative decisions that came about with the music and this incredible relationship between him and Bernie Taupin, played by Jamie Bell to perfection in this movie, and Bryce Dallas Howard playing his mother is, I didn't even know it was her for the first 30 minutes. That's how unrecognizable she was. She was just a total, so there was a great supporting cast with this movie too, and I just loved it. It's one of my favorite movies this year, and there's just so much to this movie, and this is a movie I want to see again. I want to see it a couple times just to get it, but Taron Egerton is so amazing in this film. This movie, just check all the boxes on this movie. It's a winner from beginning to end. Rocketman, one of the best films so far of 2019. I loved it. Loved it, loved it. I'm still thinking about it. All that music going on in my head is just driving me crazy, Elton. Stop it. And I'm glad he liked it too. I finally found an interview with him where he saw the movie because he didn't see it till the Hollywood premiere or wherever it premiered, London, and he just absolutely loved it. So it's really good that Elton supports it, and you have to support it too. So get out and see Rocketman. It is fantastic. All right, for more reviews and interviews, just surf on over to my website at vegasfilmcritic.com. I'm Jeffrey Howard in Las Vegas. Thanks for joining me. See you next time.